let's move on to England. Come on, here we go. Jules, don't ruin this now, okay? Right, so England are playing Croatia. Of course, we lost to them in the semi-finals. And we now get a chance at redemption. We've played a few times recently as well. Of course, a last-minute winner during the Nations League and a 0-0 draw. But we go into this tournament, and I'm going to come to Hugh first this time. Hugh, are we okay? Are we going to be fine? What I need from you is, I think sometimes
it's a safe place here. You can talk. It's a safe place.
Yeah. I think we need to pack away all the negativity, and now we need to draw a line and let's overhype it. Let's take the fall. Let's jump off that cliff and see if we can fly. We're going to win it. It's coming home. That's my prediction off the bat. I know we're going to talk for a bit, but we're going to win it.
You're coming to the wrong person. You're coming to the wrong person if you're expecting that overarching positivity about England. You know I'm not that guy. I'm a realist. Okay. Maybe a little bit cynical as well. Look, I think when it comes to England, it's interesting what Jules was saying about getting over that barrier, that hurdle towards success. England, I think, have several hurdles to get over compared to other teams who have been edging closer and closer. Yes, they got to the World Cup semi-final, but actually the way that they were beaten by Croatia showed a golf in, I think, managerial class. And that's a hurdle that I don't think many people are mentioning when it comes to England in this competition. A lot of the times they're overcomplicating it. You know, international football is not club football. The managers do not have a lot of time with the players. They're changing system regularly. They're changing personnel regularly. They don't come into this competition with a settled team in terms of personnel, in terms of a settled formation. And most importantly, they don't come into this competition in fantastic form, which other countries do. They've been playing just better football. So it's hard for me to sit here, as much as I'm a big England fan, born and raised in Wembley, playing at home. I think that will help England. But I've got to be honest with you, James. I think they can have a strong competition. I just don't think they can win it. There are better sides in the competition, and they have that huge weight on their shoulders, like England always do, this pressure to somehow not just win a tournament, which they haven't done since 1966, but to do it in style as well. We are the most unrealistic football public probably in the world. So with all that pressure on them, such a young squad as well. Let's not forget, this is not the team that we had out in 2018. Okay, some remain, but it's a very young squad. I think just let them go out, play their football, express themselves, the likes of Phil Foden, Jack Grealish at a competition for the first time, Mason Mount. Let them go and play their game. Hopefully Gareth Southgate can let them play with some freedom. Try and enjoy it and see where it takes England. But yeah, look, I don't want to put too much pressure on them to do too well, because like I say, I just think there are better sides. But look, they are a good team. They're a fantastic squad. And that means that the pressure will come inevitably. And I think people like Jules are going to be the ones putting it on. Aren't you, Jules?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you said. My issue is Southgate. I'm not convinced at all. I've never been convinced. I'm still not convinced by what I see, by what he does. I know it was not his fault if he could not use the Man United players and the Man City players and the Chelsea players in the build-up of this tournament, which is a shame because it's probably the only country not able to play their strongest 11 in the friendlies to prepare for the competition. And I don't think, obviously, that's not Southgate's fault, but I want him to let them play. It's enough of this defensive-minded setup and team, and let's be cautious. And you've got incredible talent going forwards. Certainly, attacking-wise, one of the best squad in the whole tournament. Let them go. My dream is that they play 4-1-4-1, and that I've got at the same time, you know, Sancho and Rashford and Foden and Mount, only Declan Rice because he's wonderful, so he can do all the defending, and then let them all go, and you will win all the games 3-2.
Sure, I disagree with both of you on Southgate. I actually really like Southgate, and I think his hand has been forced a lot of the time. And also, I think with international football and previous England managers, you know, the tactics is one thing, everything else is another thing. And I think other managers have not been able to cope with creating a culture that, you know, people can get behind, the press can get behind, and the players can buy into as well. And I think he's always been very good in probably the noisiest job that you can have in world football. I think he does very well at cutting out the noise. And I guess with the sort of going gung-ho approach, what I can just see is the headline on the other side of it is he goes for it, and we go, why is he going for it? Like after we play one good team, and you play Portugal, they sit back, they play, you know, three at the back, and then push forward and get you on the counter attack. I think that's the dangerous thing that Gareth Southgate's got to do now, is that up till now, in my opinion, I think he's always, you know, whatever you want to say about his tactics, he's always been able to cut through the noise and make his decision on things. The thing that I really, really want to see from Southgate and this England team is it's more on Southgate, really. I want Southgate to make his decision. I want him to feel comfortable about it. And I want him to kind of stick with it a little bit, because I agree with you, Hugh. There's no chemistry there. And there's no chemistry there due to other factors a little bit. So it needs to start now. It needs to start with the England-Croatia game. We need to get a result in it. But I tell you what, we need to not do. We need to not lose that game. That's a huge part of this. Losing it is a disaster.
Listen, I like what you're saying there, and I understand Gareth Southgate has been absolutely fantastic for the country off the pitch. But the reality of the situation is he's not the FA chairman, he's the England manager.
I agree.
And he has to perform. In particular, you might say he has to back his decisions in terms of team selection. That's one thing. His in-game decisions are poor. His substitutions are poor. His timing, his reading of what is going on in front of him has never been great as the England manager. Key moments when you need him to react as a manager on the touchline, change things, he's been too slow. He's looked too much to his coaching staff. I don't think he's overly confident in his own abilities. You know, as great as he has been, and I think he has been a fantastic statement for the Football Association in England, that's not his job. His job is to win football matches, and he hasn't been good enough at that.
Yeah, I think he has won a lot of football matches. I think what's fair in what you're saying is that maybe, like you said at the start, in terms of the squad and it being young, and we're trying to figure out how good they are as a squad. Maybe the same is this truly is a test for him. I think with the World Cup, there was no expectation, and so it was kind of like we were pleased with what we had. With this, we've got he has options. He can change it in game. There are 5 substitutes that you can use. So this really is a test for Southgate to prove himself and prove the doubters wrong. Do you agree, Jude?
Yeah, completely. But I'm with you as well. Communication has never won you World Cups or Euros, and he's great at that and fair play. And you have to be when you're England manager. However, like you said, for me, the pressure is all on him. It's not on Harry Kane. It's not on the youngsters, because they will have 2-3 more World Cups, Euros, all to play together. It's not on the defense. It's not Maguire. It's on Southgate, because with 5 subs, you've got enough subs there to make a difference as a manager. And trust me, all the big ones will do. Deschamps will, and Martinez will, and Mancini will, and maybe even Jogi Löw will, even if he's way past his best. And so Southgate has to show to all of us that he belongs there with those top managers who can bring this very talented squad together and go and win this. And winning one game in the knockout like they did at the World Cup is not enough, even if you finish 4th. This is not just about finishing 4th, just about because you got a bit lucky and you finally won a penalty shootout. This is maybe the most talented England squad and team that we had in a very long time. Now you have to use it well and show that you can actually win games by being the best team. You don't have to play great football, because as we say, identity for international football is hard, because you don't have time to work out, and it's difficult. It's not like a club level. However, you have enough there to be the best teams in the games that you're going to play in, and starting with this Croatia game.
Where would you put them in terms of the squad, in terms of the other squads in the competition? Where would you rank the England squad?
I think attacking wise, to start with, they're right up there, maybe just below France, because France, I think, have incredible depth in their squad going forward. But they're just below. If you just name them, it's incredible. And I don't think Germany have the same. I don't think Belgium have the same. I don't think Spain have the same. I don't think Italy have the same. I don't think Netherlands have the same. So apart from France, I think no one can beat the attacking power that you and England have. But it's not just enough to have all those names. You need to find the right formula on how to play, who you play. Do you play Sterling from the start? Do you use Jadon Sancho as an impact sub? Do you use Phil Foden as an impact sub? What do you do with Grealish? Can Grealish and Mount and Foden play together? All those questions. And that's why I go back to my initial points. And it's not Southgate's fault that he was not able to play his strongest 11. But I don't want to see Jesse Lingard playing a preparation game for these Euros, because he's on holidays right now in Dubai. This is not interest to me whatsoever. I would have liked Southgate to be able to try or to show us what the strongest 11 was, and the team that would start against Croatia was going to be against either Austria and Romania.
James, I told you before, with England, you will always get to the eve of the tournament, and we'll be discussing what the lineup's going to be and what the formation's going to be. For some reason, England are never settled. And in fact, they've only won 2 out of their last 9 opening games at major tournaments. That's an appalling record for a country as big as England.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's an appalling record, and when you put it in perspective, yeah, it's interesting, because for us to be, Julian's saying we've supposedly got the second best squad then. So we should be making the final then. So I think these are expectations. I just want to establish these expectations kind of going in. Because I think that when it changes, that's when I think I get a little bit frustrated with it. But you're right. You read off those names, it is pretty outrageous. So I'm looking forward to us spanking Croatia 4-0 in this first game. So let's get to the predictions of this game then. I'm an England fan. I want England to win. And I think you're right. If the squad is as good as it is, and in terms of allowing players to have a week off here and there, if that was the right decision, I want to see us come out against a wily old foe now in Croatia and really put on a show. I really want to see that. And I hope that we do see that. I do see England winning this one, but at the same time, I'm very, very nervous about the guile of Croatia. Julian, what's your prediction?
You know what? I think this Croatia team is a team of OAPs. I really do. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone, and especially not Luka Modric, but come on. I watched them against Belgium the other night. They're not a good team anymore. I think something is gone now after the World Cup. So England should really win this. I think they will win this. I don't think it'd be very spectacular for all the reasons that we mentioned, but I can see England winning it 1-0.
I've got to say, I think he's right about the OAPs, but you could look at it another way, of course. The experienced players versus the inexperienced players, those that have been to a World Cup final. I think it might help Croatia a lot that I just think the players in their team have been together for a long, long time and everyone knows their roles. And whichever England team we see at the weekend, we know it will be some time since they've all played together and they might just be feeling their way into the first match. I think England will go with a defensive approach for that reason, because a lot of their players from Chelsea, Manchester City haven't played for a while. But I do still think they'll win the game. They're at Wembley, of course. They'll probably have too much for Croatia. And they probably should have too much for Croatia. But I think it will be 2-1. They will concede, but I think they'll have too much at the other end of the pitch.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.